Hi, friends. Psychological theatre and a very important topic, which has been the the central point of the central point in humanity, the central point in humanity's history, and something that humanity has given tremendous value to, and something which has been reason for shaping humanity's history and is still shaping humanity. And that is the the realm, the realm, the world, the world of emotions. And I would just like to shed a basic light on some few key points about emotions. And if if you like this video, or if you would like to go in more detail into it, then you can let me know, and we can even try to be more deep. But today, I would just like to look at it, observe at it from a basic point of view, and point out a few things. So, in my experience as a human, when I have looked at this cycle of emotions and how I how I came to know about them is by my family. The family gives a basic understanding of different types of emotion when you're growing up, and then in life you see suddenly something happens and this emotion is there inside of you, and then we think what to do with it. For example, like the emotion is there, and now do I do I like this emotion? Do I don't like this emotion? Or what should I do with this emotion? And then we have every person has a different way of handling the emotion, of fixing the emotion, of enjoying the emotion, whatever. So, if you would observe it in your life, in your everyday life, then you would see that emotions are essentially created by the process of thought, by the process of thinking. The process of thinking is happening in our brain, in the very brain cells themselves, and in a way, you can say, not in a way, but we can say that the brain is thinking. And because the brain is thinking, and thinking is creating emotions, we can say that the brain is making all these emotions in a way. Now, you can argue with me that emotions are not created by thought, they are not created by thinking, and we can have a discussion about it. But I am saying it on basis of maybe years of observing myself and some of the things I have read from different places. And if a person honestly observes himself without excluding certain type of thoughts, because we are very biased about our thoughts, we call some things as thoughts and some things we don't call as thoughts. Okay, we call them maybe ourselves, maybe an emotion or something like this. So, but if you would see the beginning of each emotion, if you are that interested in yourself, if you're not just interested in your name, fame, what people say about you, and if you're actually interested in yourself and you really want to know how you function, and then you are observing yourself every day, because every day emotions are coming to you from your external environment. Your friends are saying all kind of things to you, you are meeting different people, some things happen randomly, and these emotions are coming. And one layman way of saying it is that something happens and I have suddenly this emotion. But when you would observe it more precisely, more clearly, then you would see that every emotion is the result of some kind of thought. And how you, if you are able to detect it or not, that's different. That's how seriously you want to look, how much you're really interested. But when you would see that, then you would observe actually a very beautiful thing, that all your emotions are actually created by your brain. Okay? Now, why I'm stating this very much is because, in general, in society, um, people have a very common way of saying that this is the signal of my soul, this emotion. This is the signal coming from my depth. This is the signal coming from the higher power or something like this. And even though any brain scientist would happily accept it when I say the statement that all the emotions are created by the brain, and I would assume most brain scientists would accept it. But in general, people try to connect emotions to more than something, the brain, the soul, the higher, or something like this, whatever. So I would like to I would like to make it very clear that it's very easy to test it. You can just observe yourself, and it depends on how strongly you observe. But in few weeks or in a month, you can see it. That how the brain is making the emotions, and the reason is a very simple reason, which is actually a law of nature, in a way, that everything that exists in nature tries to survive. All the species and everything, they're all trying to survive as much as they can. Okay? So in the same way, the human brain also wants to survive. And because it doesn't know what's the right action of each situation, because life is so random, okay? Hundreds of things happen every day, and new things happen every day. So in a way, the brain wants to make a formula for life that it can follow every day, and then it feels secure that it knows how to handle everyday life. But because life is still so unpredictable, things happen which the brain cannot control. So to overcome it, to handle all these things, the brain has developed a system of emotions. Okay? Essentially, all emotions are a way of defense of the brain. All emotions. Someone calls you stupid or tries to say something bad to you, suddenly you feel the anger. Okay? Now, the point is, this happens so fast that the observation has to be very intense to catch it. Okay? If you weren't able to catch it, then what you would be aware is straight away you would be aware of the rising energy and that you're angry. Now, if you would look at it very carefully, it's very fascinating that actually when someone is saying something bad to you, or someone is kind of indicating that this person can harm you in some way, then the brain naturally tries to defend itself by providing energy to all parts of the body and try to be angry. Because when someone is attacking you verbally, there might be a situation that this person can start attacking you physically. And the brain needs to be ready for it. So the brain starts to develop this anger to defend itself. Okay? Again, you see, it's a defense thingy. And it happens with all the other things. You see a snake in a rope, and then the brain is already scared that there's a snake. Now, this fear, again, is a mechanism of defense. It's a mechanism of defending itself, because the brain somehow needs to tell itself that I should not cross this line, otherwise it's dangerous. Okay? The way of telling itself is the fear. You understand? So, in every sense, you have an exam tomorrow, but you're not studying. And then you have a fear, what if I fail tomorrow? In a way, the brain is trying to defend itself. By creating the fear, the brain is forcing itself to study, so that tomorrow can be nice. And this can be seen in many different scenarios. Okay, when you see something that someone else has and you don't have it, and you have this feeling of jealousy. Again, that feeling of jealousy is pushing you to work hard to get the thing that you don't have, right? So that's again the way of defending itself by the brain. So all emotions are actually, in a way, a brain's defense mechanism, or brain's way of telling itself what to do in this kind of scenario. The scenarios that brain can solve easily are fine. The brain can find a solution and make the solution. But where the scenarios which the brain cannot solve, or the brain is unable to solve straight away, like looking at a snake, and you don't know how to handle a snake or anything, and then the brain freezes, and then the brain starts developing a fear, because that fear stops the brain from moving forward, which is a way of defense, or to run away, which is again a way of defense. So all this kind of scenarios you can observe in your life, in yourself every day. And when you do them, observe them every day, day after day, day after day, slowly you start to be sensitive to how they are coming, and when you would see how they are coming, it would be very evident to you that they are produced by the brain. So all this street talk, general street perception that the emotional response is the response of some deeper thing inside of you, your soul, your this, your that, some higher power is speaking to you, and all this kind of things. I think with a little testing on yourself, you can be free of all this, and you can clearly see that all these emotional responses are actually created by the brain. There is nothing deeper in them. There is nothing super in them. At the brain's level, they are deeper than your conscious state. Okay, but still, the way people take them as being the voice of the soul, or something like this, even though usually people don't have any evidence for the soul as well. So you would try to look at it from a more rational and more in a more correct way, you can say. You are not trying to create some kind of illusion in your brain that this is something super. So all this emotional response, first of all, you can see it is your brain's way of defending itself, and is created by the brain through the process of thinking. All of your emotional responses. So try to observe this. You could attack me on my statement. You can say I know nothing and everything, which is totally fine. You're most welcome. But you could also join me in the experiment. You can try it yourself. Give a few weeks or a month to it. See the truth of my statement, and then you can say if what I'm saying is right or not. But essentially, the process between you and what you see. Okay, this is what essentially duality is: you and what you are seeing, whether it's in the mind or whether it's outside. That's what create the whole cycle of emotions. When you see something, how your past, your reservoir, or your brain responds to that all depends what kind of emotion it will create. When the brain doesn't like what it sees, it creates this negative emotions. When the brain likes what it sees, it creates these positive emotions. Whatever, there are huge ranges of them. So essentially, you can also say, as long as, from a meditative point of view, as long as you're living in this dualistic point of view of the image and the entity which is looking at the image, okay, the looker and the image, or how Mr. Krishnamurti puts it, as the observer and what the observer is looking at the observed. So as long as you have these 2 points of division, which is the essence of duality actually, you would have all the different kind of emotions. Okay, so because this is how the brain is trying to defend itself. The brain, it's a little complicated, but you can go into it. The brain creates thought, then divides the thought into 2 points as the thinker and the thing which it is thinking about, even though it's the same thing which is divided into 2. And then these 2-point observation creates the emotional response. The last part you can ignore as well at the moment if it's too difficult, but this is where the observation is required. If you would observe every day to your action and how the emotions are coming, you can catch it very easily, and you can be very sure from your own observation, from your own data collected, so as to say in a scientific way, that when you're observing yourself, you're collecting data about yourself every day. And then if you observe it in a state of attention, in a state of not losing your energy, conserving all your energy and then observing, then you will see the subtle thought that rises and sparks the beginning of the emotion. That's the tricky part. We are always aware of the emotion in the end. When it has come and gone, then we say, what should I do about it? The most important and the most beautiful thing is to be aware of the emotion before it comes to you. Very tricky, you have to be very sensitive, and you have to be looking every day on yourself, which is not an extra activity. You can live your life the way you live it, go to the office and everything. While living the life, you can look at yourself as well. There's nothing very difficult about it. But when you do it, slowly and slowly you see the contribution of thoughts which you were unaware of, how thought is doing everything in the human life and human consciousness. So to this point I would like to end the video, but still I would say again, try to observe. Give 15 minutes, 20 minutes to yourself every day. Try to observe yourself. Try to observe how you make a decision. Try to observe how you decide, why you decided like that and everything. All the cycle of the mind, it will be revealed to you. But you have to be interested in yourself. If you're always interested in making money, then you are going to end up asking someone else, hey, what should I do? I'm feeling this and that. And you can do that. A lot of business is going on in that name. But the best and the highest help you can do is to do it yourself. That way, the fixing of the problems, the emotional problems, the anxieties and everything gets fixed from that observation. It requires a little hard work, but what you get in return is really beautiful. What you get is a kind of stability, a kind of order in your mind, which knows how to defend itself, but it also knows how to observe. The value of clean and rational observation, not emotional observation. Emotional observation is always biased. It always gives you the result according to the emotion, according to the motive of the emotion. But a non-emotional observation, an observation in which there is no motive, there is just the act of observation, that is really beautiful, and that actually brings so many things in your life if you try to bring it in your life. So try to do it. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you can do it. Try to see how your brain is working. Be aware of it. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how much you're educated, not educated, doesn't matter. All of that doesn't matter. The ability of awareness is equal in everyone, in humans, I mean, considering everyone is physically healthy. So try to do this yourself, and you would see it would help you a lot. So with this, let's end this video, and if there is some questions or anything you want to talk about, please write to me in the comments. Thank you.